This meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there anyone out here who is recording this meeting? Okay. The first thing on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes for June 24th, 2013.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of June 24th, 2013 with one small change on page 4. Under the fire chief, it should be, I believe, 3 years. Yes, folks?
I'll second that with that change.
Motion made by Selectman Farrell, seconded by Selectman Morrison. Is there any further discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And I will abstain, I was not here. Motion carries. The next thing on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes for July 29th, 2013.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes for July 29th, 2013.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Selectman Robinson, seconded by Selectman Morrison. Any discussion on the motion? And Julie's not here. Hearing none. Julie?
Abstain?
Doug?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. The next item on the agenda concerns Phoenix Court. That is a housing place, entity that comes under the jurisdiction of the Templeton Housing Authority. Is there anyone here from the authority? All right, is there any people any of the residents of Phoenix Court here?
3 of us.
All right. The Templeton Housing Authority is elected and / a state entity. The Board of Selectmen really has no power. We can't tell them what to do. We cannot force them to do anything. However, the Board of Selectmen is elected by the people, the voters of Templeton, and the residents at Phoenix Court fall into that category. They, in theory, elect the members of the board up here. They vote for us. We work for them, all the citizens of Templeton. So when the board receives complaints or issues, concerns from anyone in Templeton, it's my intention to bring it, to have it discussed at a selectmen's meeting. I feel it's a responsibility, not only as a person or a single member of the board, but the board in general, to at least hear these things and listen to them. I believe that's important on many fronts. If we do not listen to them on the issues that they bring to us, and we may not always be the right place for them to come to, but I believe that it's important to at least discuss it and acknowledge it, because you turn around and you go and ask them for things or want them to support items, anything from an override to a fair, to the crafts fair, to anything. in the town. I don't think we can ignore the residents and then turn around and then ask things of them. It's like, no, we can't be bothered with those little issues, but we need your support, so can you step up and help us out? But don't worry that we didn't listen to you along the way. So that's why I put this on here. Again, probably the most that this board could really do is maybe vote to send a letter to the Templeton Housing Authority inquiring about these issues. We can also send a letter of concern, or however we word it, to the state agency that has oversight over the Housing Authority. But again, the most important thing that I think is to look at these issues and hear the residents, and if anyone's from the Housing Authority, hear their side. It's not a hearing of any kind. I don't want it to turn into a finger-pointing argument thing. It's just, like I said, I think it's important for the Board of Selectmen to hear the people and to listen to them. So my first order would be, do any other board members have any comments on this? Any views on all these items, and they are many, in excess of a dozen.
I was under the impression that the Board of Health agent, Phil Ledger, was going to look into some of these issues today.
My understanding, last week, Phil went there. I brought a copy of this to the Board of Health office and asked if these were any issues in here that they fall under their jurisdiction to go over and look at as a third party and see if they are valid, see what the conditions are on any of the items that they could possibly fall under their jurisdiction, like bathrooms and so forth. I was enlightened that there were a number of these issues that they could actually go and look at. I've not gotten any correspondence. I'm not aware of any coming into the office. I didn't receive any emails or phone calls from the Board of Health that he went over there. Other than I spoke with the manager, the part-time person who works in the office, and I spoke with Joyce Grukin, who I understand is the chairman of the Templeton Housing Authority, and she indicated that the Board of Health, Phil Ledger, did go over there in some way, either by calling or actually physically visited, but did look into, and she's aware of that he came, and it was at the behest of the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, and that this was going to be on our agenda. So, if any of the residents from Phoenix Court would like to speak on this, if this is like, because I understand this is not the first time that some complaints or some concerns have come from the residents at Phoenix Court to the Selectman's office. Anything in the past year roughly or so, I was not aware of.
Well, the problems that we have at Phoenix Court is whenever we go in to speak to Mrs. Chappie in the office, most everything is just immediately shut down, so you really can't even get anywhere. But the problems that I wanted to mention here were the maintenance personnel. There is one person, his name is Gary Whitney. He's from Orange. And on several occasions, I've witnessed his kids, he brings his kids into work and they'd be riding on the John Deere tractor with him. You know, accidents happen with the best intentions, and I could all think of that young child falling on that big wheel or something, and also riding on the sit-down lawnmower and around in the snowplow with him. I don't know, it's obviously a safety concern and the liability that would certainly follow it. Another thing that goes on there is Mrs. Chaffee's there 17 hours a week. That's how she's required to. So the other 2.5, 3 days that we're talking about here, if we have anything that goes wrong, should there be a fire, a flood, or something where you'd have to get a maintenance person relatively quickly, he's in the garage, which is in the main building, and he locks himself in there. The doors are locked from the inside of the building as well as from the outside of the building. And he just simply doesn't answer the door. And he'll be in there all day sometimes. So we can't get anything done like that. And he refuses to really pretty much to deal with people unless it comes directly from her. And that's a hard thing to do around there because she's not there all the time. We have to speak to someone. This past winter, doors in the community room where they have the banquets and activities and everything, 2 of the main doors were never shoveled out the entire winter. And all that snow built up, and we were told to use the other 2 exits, but they're quite a ways away, and we have people with vision problems who would, in the event of a fire, would have to get out of there, and it would be very difficult for them. And they've always been shoveled in the past, so you could get right out these doors in case there was a problem. And it actually makes it an easier access way too for some of the people on the other side of the building. They don't have to come as far, and when they're older, walking that extra distance doesn't make a difference. Bathrooms on a regular basis are unkept, and there's no smell of Legionnaire or anything in it.
These are the community bathrooms that is
The ones in the
available
community
to,
room, right, not in the
so to
apartments.
speak.
And the outside is pretty much unkept. Weeds growing through the shrubs, grass growing too high everywhere, not cut even on the whole back of the place. It looks like an abandoned lot. Never looked like that before. And another question we wanted to ask was, there's no logo on the F-250. They've had the truck a couple of years now. It's a pretty new truck. And there's no Templeton housing on this truck at all. It's supposed to be. And I want to know who pays the gas bill for the truck, because the truck's taken to Orange every day, back and forth every day, and it's been seen at Rieta Ranch on the weekends and at car shows in Pittsburgh area. And so the state or the town's paying for this. And it's just a joyride. And these are some of the things that go on, and any kind of discussion like that goes on there with the office, where we just are unable to get anywhere. So we decided to call upon you at least to air these things out so people know. They used to be much better
The
kept.
place looks like a deserted lot. The weeds are up to here, and the shrubs are all up and down with the weeds going up, the weeds underneath. And the leaves against the building haven't been swept for 3 years. He doesn't do that. He'll blow along the edge, but he's never. So as a result, we get a lot of bugs, you know. But when you say, and he hasn't swept the parking lot, we still got last winter's sand in the parking lot. But if we say anything, well, we have no money. But those jobs don't require any money. But he's just sitting locked up in that room. You don't see or hear from him at all. But it looks like a deserted lot down there. It's shameful.
I'd like to say something.
yes.
I have only lived there 2 years, just a little over 2 years. But I knew the man that was a maintenance man before him. I visited there several times in the past, and it was beautiful. I was told that he doesn't have enough time. He's only one man. He can't do it all. But I'm a very fussy woman, and when I see something that's not done correctly, I mean, you know, if you're gonna do a section of the lawn, do it nice, do it right. Don't do it halfway and shabby. You know,
Like take
just
the
leave
weed
it-
whacker out and just hit the top areas,
Just do
and
what
then
you-
put it away and never even get the lawnmower out.
And then you guys, he did a whole bunch of the shrubs. And I was sitting out there one day and I said to Mike, look at that one hasn't even been touched. And then people are out there like me, and we're trying to do some work to help, but we're told we're not supposed to be doing that. And they won't hire a part-time person to just do the outside work per se, because they don't have any money.
There's a part-time office worker comes around with it, but
Well,
not an
I'll
part-time
just,
maintenance.
my main addressing is the outside house. Mind you, next door is absolutely beautiful. You go by there and it just takes your breath away. It's so pretty and so manicured. And you come into ours and look around. Tell us what you see. It's worth the drive.
Yes, Ken?
I would say I'd be particularly concerned, as you had raised, knowing that there are tenants that live there that have disabilities or may have visual impairments, and knowing that, particularly in the winter, that those emergency exits and exits are not being cleaned so that they can use them. That I think that's kind of shameful, and that's something that we should try to address. And as Mr. Bennett said, they don't fall under our direct jurisdiction, but I'm sure that we could write a letter to them, the housing authority, and then maybe if we don't get an appropriate response, to maybe follow up with the health agent to see if there's anything that he can do regarding health violations that may be in there, and that he may be able to enforce some kind of change, even if we can't.
Might I just say that the one thing that might get something done is to alert the people that she has to answer to, because that's part of the problem. They think they don't have to answer to anybody.
And that is
just what they want.
That is the State Housing and Community Development, I believe. Is there anyone from the Templeton Housing Authority here? I was told Ms. Grukin was going to be here. Apparently not. So,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
if I might, back in December of last year, one of my members attended there, and he asked me to attend the meeting on January 9th of this year. Some of these same issues were brought up at that meeting. If they haven't been handled, I think there's an issue over it. At that particular time, and I can relate to the gentleman talking about the snow removal because we were there, and there was a lot of issues with the snow removal and maintenance in general for the building that we saw in the common hall. They had a lot of furniture that should have been taken out of service and repaired. I mean, that's a general observation. I spoke to one individual and said, you really need to end up addressing this with the board, and if you don't get satisfaction back in January, I'm not sure who the individual was, to come to you early. This is just coming to a head, so I can end up relating to what these people said. I haven't been back for that because the advisory board, as you know, doesn't have any authority per se. It was just an observation that people have asked me to go over and get some input on.
Their meetings are Wednesday, 4 p.m. I think it's the first or second Wednesday of the month. And in a conversation with Ms. Grukin from the Housing Authority, she made a point that she's not seen any selectmen or anyone come to their meetings, and these people should come to the meeting and address their issues, concerns, or complaints to the authority. To which my response was, like I said earlier, they're residents, they come to the selectmen, I'm at least going to listen to them and try to help them as much as we can. And that just because the selectman hasn't been at their meeting does not make an excuse for not addressing any issues or listening to the residents. Not only do I believe we can write, if the board so votes, so wishes, we could write a letter to the Housing Authority to perhaps meet with us, a formal request. We could also address the State Housing and Community Development, who I believe is the agency that oversees them and where they get the majority of their funding. And see if we can fix this without getting into a big fight. But the residents, and I believe this is not the first complaint that has been received by the Selectman's office I believe, I'm pretty sure that winter thing was an email received. I'll check with the town coordinator when he comes back. But I'm under the understanding that there are multiple issues and things raised through emails. There's no one here from the Housing Authority. I would entertain a motion from the board to send a letter to the Templeton Housing Authority, perhaps requesting a meet with them, a combined meeting, noting these complaints and concerns from at least 3 residents that showed up at our meeting, and perhaps double checking and ensure the state agency and send a similar letter to the state agency just to say, you know, what's the deal, what's the funding issues with this. Because the town, the selectmen have worked with the housing authority before at Phoenix Court. I believe a generator was done. The town provided some funding through grants and other means for roof repair work and windows or doors or something. So we have worked with them, and the town does pay for some of the things in one way or another. We assist them in getting funding, getting things. So I believe that would probably be the best way to start, would be to send a letter to the housing authority and the state agency that oversees them, just as a matter of, hey, residents came to us, these are the concerns. And we sit down and talk with them and fix this thing before it gets way out of hand, because that's the last thing that we need is another argument in Templeton.
I will make that motion.
Is there an issue with him using the truck as his personal big vehicle back and
That will
forth
be,
to Orange?
that would be addressed, because that's, one way or another, it doesn't matter, town or state vehicle, there are regulations on that not to happen. Julie?
I will make a motion to that effect, that we write a letter to the Templeton Housing Authority outlining the issues and concerns that have been raised tonight and in these letters and in other documentation that we may have from the town coordinator, and that we CC the state housing and community development authorities.
I'll second that motion.
All right, a motion made by Selectman Farrell, seconded by Selectman Robinson. Is there any further discussion on the motion by the board? Hearing none. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes. And I thank you all for coming, and
For having us.
we'll get that letter out, and the selectmen's office will keep you abreast of anything that we hear, any progress made.
Excellent.
And I intend I will keep an eye on this just as a select board member, and see if we can work this out and get these things fixed.
Very good.
As I say, we have no one to talk to.
I understand that.
We do now.
All right?
Thank you kindly
Thank
for
you.
hearing us. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
very welcome.
Should we also copy these folks?
Excuse me?
If you don't mind, we'll leave before the rest of the meeting.
Go right ahead.
That's your perfect option.
We're just here because we care, and there's like only 3 of us out of 50-something people.
Yeah, a lot of people complaining over there, but a lot of them didn't want to come forward because of their health. And some were scared of retribution and all that, so
I understand.
here we are.
Do we have all your contact info?
Excuse me?
Do we have your phone number and everything at the office?
I can give it to you right now. And they can be made with
Yeah, because we should send them a copy of
All right, what's
the
your
letter.
first name?
My name is Mike.
Yeah, we do have your,
CASA, VANT. And you can get a hold of me at 939-5457.
Holly, we do have that.
Oh, we do have all that?
Yeah, we have his name and we have Miss Morton's.
We should give them a copy of the letter that we're sending.
And we'll, yes. I will-
Great, thank you.
All right. The next issue is the contract for the elementary school project, with strategic building services, and actually how the whole process got started. And this came up, I was at an elementary school building committee, the last they had a couple weeks back. And there was a contract came up, and there was a signature for the chief executive officer of the town of Templeton, which happens to be me at this point in time. It's normally just the chairman of the board of selectmen. That's apparently how it was voted somewhere along the line, to have the chairman sign. So my questions, and there was the contract that was handed me, dated the 19th of July 2013. It says it's between Narragansett Regional School District and Strategic Building Solutions. So, at that meeting, I did not sign it because I felt from the vote, how this project began, a feasibility study amount was determined, it was $550,000. It was a vote at Templeton Town Meeting, and I had recalled, although I didn't have any paperwork in front of me, but I had recalled that when the school district and people from the school committee came before the Board of Selectmen, and at the time I was sitting out there, it was determined that Phillipston was not going to participate in the funding of the school. So it was actually going to be the town of Templeton building an elementary school, which if you look at the agreement, the district agreement, has like Templeton Center, the East Templeton School at one time in Ballinville. Those are leased, the town-owned buildings leased to the school district, and it's in the agreement. So, to answer some questions for myself and to demonstrate to my fellow board members, probably the only one who was on the board at this time was Selectman Farrell. I went back to, the town is required to keep their minutes formally in hardbook bound type copies in the office for their public records and to keep them. So I went back in '09 and I started and I looked for some votes. And the first one I came across was September 14th, 2009. It's the MSBA standard contract for project management services. Jerry, that was Gerald Skelton at the time, was chairman of the Board of Selectmen. A meeting was held by the Templeton Elementary School Building Committee where the contract was reviewed and accepted by the committee. The Templeton Elementary School Building Committee sent the contract to the Board of Selectmen for their approval and signature, and also for review by Town Council. Hence my first question of why a contract would be with the Narragansett School District and not the town of Templeton. Then I came across the intermunicipal agreement between the town and Narragansett School District. And this vote was taken and the agreement was filled in with this date of January 25th, 2010. Action on the intermunicipal agreement between the town and Narragansett School District. Bond Council is requiring to have this agreement in place in regards to the $500,000 feasibility study. I believe the town meeting vote was $550,000. The town of Phillipston is not included in the project. Hence, my contention, this is a town project and not a district project, because Phillipston opted not to get involved financially with the town of Templeton. Maybe a smart move on their part. Then the intermunicipal agreement. Again, it's dated January 25th, 2010. Acting by and through, it's a Board of Selectmen vote adopted January 25th, 2010, and the Narragansett Regional School District, hence the district, acting by and through its Regional School Committee by vote adopted January 20th. Financing the project is on page 2. The district authorizes the town to act on its behalf and exercise all of its legal powers and duties with respect to the financing of the project, the issuance of bonds and notes thereon. The town shall incur its own general obligation, indebtedness, in order to finance all costs of the project. Within such amounts appropriated by the town to pay costs of the project, the district shall obtain all necessary professional and other services necessary carrying out the project and shall oversee all aspects thereof. The town shall pay all costs of the project. Hence, further in my contention that a contract involving any aspect of the school, elementary school building should come before the Board of Selectmen, should be between the Board of Selectmen, that is the town, and Strategic Building Services or any other entity that we use. Next up was an email from Carl Weber, who works for Strategic Building Services, and he was in Templeton for a while looking at land, and most people know where that went. This is dated March 24th, 2010. It states the town of Templeton has approved the architect of SMMA, and there is that contract to follow, the next page. A question has been raised that you can help us with, and this was from Carl Weber to Paul Folks, and it's CC to Roselli Weiss, then superintendent, Carol Skelton, then Templeton Town Coordinator. It is necessary for the school district to sign the designer contract as well as the town of Templeton. Keep in mind this is a regional school district, and the other town of Phillipston has opted out of the new school project. As a result, Narragansett Regional School District has an intermunicipal agreement with the town for the town to have financial control of the elementary school project. Next is the contract for design services between the town of Templeton and Sims, Maney, and McKee Associates. And again, this was signed by Chairman of the Board, then Gerald Skelton, the designer Joe Seeley, Vice President of Services, and to the right is Roselli S. Weiss, the superintendent, then superintendent of schools. Then there is a dated March 5th, 2010, an opinion from Copeland and Page. And within this, it says it reviewed the contract between the town and Sims. The contract is consistent with the form required for use by MSBA, Massachusetts School Building Authority. It is my understanding that the town's project manager, the towns, will outline these services. I have contract associated documents, such and such. And then one thing that I put in here, actually I gave you each selectman two things. One is the town meeting vote back in May of '09, just as a reminder. I know it was used at the last meeting. But then there is a contract here that puzzles me in a way. It's dated the 25th day of June in 2009, and it says it's between Narragansett Regional School District / the town of Templeton. It's signed by Jonathan Winokur, principal of SBS, and then chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Gerald Skelton. Nowhere is there a signature of the superintendent of schools. So I've been very long-winded, but I wanted to try to be thorough on this subject. That the school building committee, by the vote of the town, and just like the municipal building committee did and has been done by other committees with finances involved, the elementary school building committee can pick their OPM, their designer, which is going to be Strategic Building Services. They can negotiate the amount of money that they think is fair to do the design services. They can propose a contract with this person, company, etc. But all this backup documentation that I provided and all the votes that I found, and I will sit down with books that I used with any resident or any selectman to show you that I went from cover to cover to try to find votes that indicated something changed. I could not find it. So my contention is, and I'm looking for a vote for the board to send notice to the elementary school building committee, who there are members here, the superintendent of the school is here, that picking the OPM negotiating the amount of money, etc., is fine. The committee, by vote, town meeting vote, that's how it was set up. But when it comes to a contract, all this paperwork and all these votes indicate to me and convince me that the contract has to be between the town of Templeton and whatever business entity, and I believe it's going to be Strategic Building Services, will be between them and the town of Templeton. And it will either be signed by the Board of Selectmen, or if they choose to vote, the chairman will sign. And if it's written in such a way that it needs the CEO of the town, then it would be the chairman, and it would just simply vote for the chair to sign. So I guess what I'm looking for is a vote from the board to back this up and to send, it's kind of, they're all here, but formality to send a letter to the elementary school building committee informing them that it's going to be a contract between the town, because that's how it's been, that's how it was set up from day one. And I think it's, again, it's disingenuous, and I don't know how it kind of got slid from the town to the district in town and then to the district. I've looked up on MSBA website and their pages, and they work with cities, they work with towns, they work with school districts. Perhaps it's been, the committee was made up, I think it started out, Julie, I think you were on it, it was 20 people, it was big.
17.
And the Board of Selectmen being part-time, we're not in the office full-time, coordinator, I don't, how it happened. The chairmans of the Board of Selectmen, 3 of them former, were on the committee, Joe Skelton, Dennis O'Brien, Bob Columbus, and I'm not talking, I'm just saying, the chairmans of the board were on there. Maybe it was like, well, the district can handle all the paperwork because they have a staff, even though the town by a vote, it was, I can't say it by a vote, but it was proposed at a special town meeting for the town to supply $3,500 to pay the secretary of the elementary school building committee. And somehow, maybe the committee, with chairmen of the Board of Selectmen on there, members of the Board of Selectmen, maybe it was the lazy way to do it. Maybe it was, we'll let the district talk to them because it's a school thing. They're dealing with MSBA, with a lot of people in education. I don't know, doesn't really matter how that happened. It just seems like it was allowed to slide nonchalantly under the radar, good intentioned, probably, to let the district, and then when you talk with the MSBA, it's the district, and they start, well, this is who I got a call from, so, oh, it's districts. Boston, they're down there, they only know what they communicate with. And if they've been used to communicating with the district, I mean, it just happens again. It's morphed into, now it's the district. But unfortunately, all these votes and all these documents and agreements, it all points to the town. It's the town money. Phillipston is not part of it. How can it be a district project when the 2 schools in the district, Templeton and Phillipston's not part of it? And it was presented to the people as a town project. I believe it should stay a town project, and the contracts, the formality of signing it and the amounts comes before the Board of Selectmen. It gets signed here in an open meeting. It doesn't happen at an elementary school building meeting. And I say that because more people watch the Board of Selectmen's meeting than other committees. I was at a planning board meeting, the last one they had. I think I don't know, me and one other person were the only one in the audience. It's been several times. The municipal building committee, I was there, maybe 2 people in the audience. I've got the last elementary school building committee, I don't know if I was the only one in the audience, one other person. There's not many people that have the time, or they don't go. The selectmen's meeting is watched. So when a contract is signed, when an amount of money is being spent on a big project like this, more people are aware of it. Plus, as I say, all the documents, all the votes seem to indicate this is a town project, not a district project. It was come from town funds, it was voted by the people that way, and I don't think they should be surprised in the middle of the project, because the last thing we need is for people questioning, they're already questioning 200,000 got spent, and basically there's really not much to show for it. And who do they point fingers at? And we just need less of that. And I believe, as I said, it's a contract between the town, the taxpayers of Templeton, where are your direct representatives, and whatever entity. It stops here, it comes here, and we sign the formality. The town of Templeton. Not the school district, not a combination. That's not how it went. That's not how the records indicate. That's not what this agreement says. That's how I read it. I'm not an attorney, but I can read. I learned how to read at Narragansett. Well, actually, I learned at Templeton Center School. Mrs. Rod and Mrs. Brooks. In short, I knew how to read. I think I've said enough. Any other selectmen have any comments?
So what letter do you want to send? Because the
I-
meeting, the elementary school meeting, I believe, they're meeting tomorrow.
Like I said, it's more a formality because the chairman's here, the superintendent's here, Mr. Claybaugh here, members, they're members of the community. As a formality, just that any contracts signed or any contracts involving the elementary school project will be, between the town and that entity, and it will be signed either by the chair or by the board, because it's been done both ways.
Is that one you have right there, Jeff? Is that one that mentions just the district?
No, that's the one that was signed this year, 2013. It's got Mr. Winiker's signature on it, and then
Right,
the one before that
yeah, that's what I'm asking for.
is the 25th of June, and this one has Narragansett Regional School District / Town of Templeton. See, I don't know how that happened, why that happened. Like I said, my personal feeling, and this is just a thought off the top of my head, was you're dealing with education, you're dealing with people down in Boston, they're talking schools, selectmen, back then, maybe one or two were retired. Some selectmen, though, they have jobs. I mean, these three have jobs, they have things to do. Maybe it was just easier, hey, the school district, they're all, they have office people, they're there during the day. The superintendent is in the office during the week, call MSBA, deal with these people, and you don't have to wait like every 2 weeks for a selectmen's
Yeah.
meeting with a bunch of other
I
stuff.
mean, I had stated I wasn't signing as chairman of the committee, that was plain and simple, but.
I mean, it's just, you're all here, I mean, the majority of the members of the committee are here. The chair and superintendent.
Contact him to have him just reword it back to the town of Templeton, because anybody had that conversation?
I made a
I know
phone
Jeff's
call,
on vacation this
but I
week, so-
didn't get nothing.
Response.
So, call him, I could try to call him again tomorrow. Jeff will be back, he can get me, I think he spoke with him. But, yeah, it's just a matter of him.
Can you ask Ruth through you if she knows
Sure.
any idea? I can't see her. I know she's here. I see her.
I
Yeah,
know,
she's
I'm
back.
hiding in the corner. Jeff, thanks for doing that, because we weren't sure, because there's been many projects with the MSBA and the district, and sometimes we have 3 signatures, sometimes we have 1. I appreciate you going through that. My question is the one you're saying that says Narragansett and Templeton, is that the newest version?
No.
What's the very newest
The-
contract that
The very
MSBA
newest one
sent?
is the one that you handed to me
Yep.
Last week, right?
that night
What does that
at the
say?
meeting. And it says Narragansett. It says Narragansett and Regional School District, and it has Jonathan Winiker's principal, and it's July or June, it's from 2013.
July
Yes,
19.
yeah, the latest one. I don't know what I did with my copy. It's in here.
Yeah.
This is dated 19th of July, 2013. It says a contract for project management services. Because I know the original OPM when he was Carl Webb for SBS, he came on board and he ended up being a real estate guy instead of OPM.
And this is the owner of the company.
I believe it's Jonathan Winiker, because
Yeah.
it says principal.
He's the owner,
So in this one was sent, it's dated 19 July 2013, between Narragansett Regional School District and the owner, herein called the owner, and Strategic Building Solutions. So there's a place, Mr. Winiker has typed in his name and signed it and dated it, and then over here it has owner. It doesn't say,
It's a typo. It's gonna be a typo because,
Yeah.
so anyways,
Jeff, can I just intervene a second? Because I've only been on this committee for a year, just trying to, we concentrate on the land, now we're getting back into the paperwork stuff,
that
you
needs to
know?
be done.
But part of the, and Ruth can correct me if I'm wrong, one of the ways, the only way to move forward from here to finish feasibility, one of the things on the hit list from the MSBA was to make sure we still had an OPM on board. His contract had expired, and we had asked him for an extension prior to expiring to keep him on.
Right.
And this is, I think, is really just a simplified, and keep in mind, we as a town still have, we have the option to back out at any time where they don't.
Right.
We've kept that
Like I said,
card in our hand at all times, the trump card, so to speak. Not that we're bluffing the guy, but my concern as chairman of the board, and equal concerns of other members, I know Bill had mentioned it too, was that we don't know if there's enough to finish the feasibility study if you're gonna go out and start new through the Procurement
Right.
Act. Where this guy's already got, we'll call a lot of sweat in the game, even though we didn't get anything, but that's water over the bridge. So he did say, yes, I will stay on to get you through feasibility. So whether he just
well, like I said,
finally put Narragansett Regional, or the regional, whatever it says on there, but it's really a formality, it's one thing off the checklist that MSBA has, says, okay, you have an OPM, check.
But,
We're not doing anything with them yet, it's just a check mark on their list, and
Right.
that's what I think that generated from.
but I was trying to get a
That's
hold
fine.
of him and let him know, hey,
Yeah.
it'll be between the town of Templeton
Yeah.
and you. I want to keep you on. The committee, like I said, the original vote, the committee can, talk to this guy and say, yeah, we want to use you. You put out, you're not going to do this, but, because you want to go with this guy, because it has already been done by the committee. But it's the formality of who the contract is with
Oh,
and
yeah,
who will
right,
sign.
right.
That
But I
was
think
my
it's a
only
formality as
thing.
far as him just doing a
Okay.
name change on the
But,
contract. So would I
you know-
want anybody, would I want anybody to sign that? No, not until they correct the language or you
Yeah, it's just
initial it and change it on top or something like that. It would
who's
have to
with,
be
who's
something.
with it.
Ask the lawyer over there, he knows all this stuff.
I ask him as a lawyer, he'll be sending the town a bill. How them attorneys work. So that's
Yeah.
what I want to say. I wanted to get this straight
Send
and
me the letter
clear.
anyway, so I meet tomorrow, right?
Okay, yeah. I go home and type that right up. Or Miss Young will, no, you can't stay late.
Do you want a motion or do you?
Yes, I was, yes, Ruth.
Because of, like what Kirk said, we're under these artificial timelines put out by MSBA. Will you be able to take action on a correct, do you need to send it to the lawyer, because you talked about that? And will you be able to take action at your next meeting so that the elementary, we can meet our deadlines with MSBA?
No, the only reference with a lawyer was what had been done in the past. I was
Well,
just
didn't
reading
know if
to,
we needed to do
they
that
looked
again.
at that. Boy, I hate to do this to you guys.
Well, it is boilerplate language that MSBA requires, which we kind of have to sign or we can't move forward, but it's a select board's
We can actually
Um,
take the vote
about
for
that.
the chair to sign.
Great.
And like I said, I called him last week and I didn't get a return. I can call tomorrow,
Well, if you give
dig
me-
up his email.
If you give me your number, I can get him to call you tomorrow.
I will.
Okay.
978-360-4634. It's on the town's website, as a matter of fact,
Okay, great, all right, thanks.
and my email address.
I'll get him to call.
But I'll give it to you after the meeting, or I'll call you sometime.
Thanks.
But yeah, it was just, and I was very particular about this because I don't want this to turn into another one of those contentious issues. Due to, one thing is just the amount of money that was been spent, and no, we didn't get nothing for it, but that's, you know, and I don't want that to further poke at this project. And I don't want people to come in and say, what's Narragansett doing, spending, you know, we just take care of this right now, clean it up, get back the way it was. And like I said, the committee has the ability, the authority to pick the OPM, pick designers, negotiate a sum and everything. It's just when it comes for the contract to be signed, it has to come here, and either the entire board or the chair votes, signs it. Just so it's all clean and it goes according to the way things had started out and were intended to be done. So, yes, I'm looking for a motion to cover the things that we spoke of for to be between the town and SBS, for the chair to sign if you so wish, and try to get this done, faxed or something. You can come it in, I can sign it if we already have a vote and motion in place. And that way, we won't wait even a week for another meeting.
So I'll make a motion that we send a letter to the committee that contracts need to be written between the town of Templeton and the other party going forward, and that we allow the chairman to sign this particular contract once we receive a revised version that indicates the town of Templeton and strategic building.
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion made by Selectman Morrison, seconded by Selectman Robinson. Is there any further discussion on the motion for the board? Hearing none. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes. Hopefully it can be just a faxed or an agreement. Get this done as quickly as possible. You can move on. So, like I said, we don't wait another week, even just a week or 2 weeks, and keep everybody happy.
Thank you.
We have enough things to deal with. There's enough fun times coming up. So I thank all the committee and members coming and dealing with this. And like I say, I was just trying to be thorough and trying to get this cleaned up so we can progress and less chance of this stuff. It's too much point and not enough talking. All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could we take the Historical Society out of order?
Anyone have any objection? We'll do the Historical Society now.
Are you okay with that?
All right, apparently the Historical Society, they do a lot of things in the town. They maintain a lot of things. And sometimes we don't always hear about it. We don't always see them much. And apparently there are some members of the commission here. There is raising funds to operate the Historical Society, the work that they do, the things that they deal with. And for some of these things, they get very little from the town. And this has become an issue. And I agreed to put this on the agenda. I like history, and I think this is important. There's a lot of neat stuff. I went through there when I was in elementary school. They had a little field trip over there. There's some neat stuff over there, a lot of stuff, history from the town. And I thought and believe it's important to bring this out as people are aware of it. And now that we're on camera and stuff, this gets on the TV, a lot more people watch the selectmen's meetings and they will hear about this information. So at this time, the members of the Historical Society, I would invite them to address the board, the people here, the town, on the issues that they want to raise and point out.
Thank you. My name is Brian Tangway. I'm the curator and trustee from the Narragansett Historical Society, and you touched on one of our problems when you called us the commission, because we're the Historical Society. So what we need to do is separate ourselves in the way that we've always been separated. We are a private, non-profit organization set up to save and restore or preserve all of Templeton's history and their artifacts, some of them dating back to the 1700s. So a lot of the times when we get involved with a project, everybody thinks we're part of the Historical Commission. Matter of fact, we get a lot of their email as well. addressing problems with that, with their side of their job, where it's not our concern. So what we're trying to do is raise awareness and let people know that, you know, we are our own, we raise money on our own, we're all volunteers. There is no money coming in from the town, although we get a tax break, which is wonderful. Thank you, everybody, because that helps us a lot. And right now, we're getting to the point in our, in this economy where there is a lack of participation and there's a lack of money coming in. So we're on dire straits, you know, it's getting to that point. So things like this, events that we're doing, if any of you came to that clock presentation, that raised a lot of awareness, and that's one of the reasons that we were called to come down here today to talk about some of the things that we preserve. One of those was the Boston Post cane. And have you ever been involved with the Boston Post cane?
I know about it.
You know about it? We have the short history that you can take home, study. There'll be a test tomorrow.
Okay.
Awesome. We do need to keep this for our records.
So with the Boston Post cane, this is a 104-year-old tradition started in 1909 by the owner of the Boston Post, Edwin Roselier, is how you say it, I believe. He sent out 700 of these canes. The picture you see on the bottom of your letter there is our actual cane. The head of it is 14-karat solid gold. The shaft is ebony, a black, very hard wood that is very valuable. Years ago, the selectmen were the ones in charge of the cane. You find the oldest citizen, you give it to them, present it, and they actually walked home with that cane. Well, obviously,